Are you an aspiring content creator who feels held back from even starting? There are so many obstacles when you're just starting out with content creation, and it really can be difficult to just get started. So in today's video, we're going to be delving into a really easy strategy that you can apply if you're looking at becoming a full-time content creator and you just want to get started. We're going to be going through a couple of the obstacles that you might face initially and how you can overcome them. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Kaylee and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia, but I'm also a content creator, and I started this channel a couple of years ago to talk about all things content creation, social media, freelancing, and business. And you may notice that I've got a slightly different backdrop today, so I'm actually downstairs filming today because I'm sort of doing a slight renovation to my office at the moment. Not a renovation, but just kind of moving some things around. So it is a bit of a mess in there today, and we're going to utilize this space instead. So as I mentioned, we're going to be going over a really easy strategy that will hopefully help you out if you're facing a few obstacles to getting started with content creation. I know that it can seem really overwhelming at first, especially if you have a number of different things that you want to do and you're not really sure how you can kind of choose your niches. So we're going to go through a few of these points today, and let's get started. So I think the best place to start with this video is actually just delving straight into what is your niche, or what do you want your niche to be, or niches. So I reckon that around 90% of people who are wanting to do content creation find it really hard to narrow down what they actually want to do. And they're not exactly sure what to choose in a niche. But that is actually really normal for most people to experience that. And I would say if you're not really sure which niche to narrow down to, then choose several. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that you should have 50 different niches and you should do everything and anything. I think that that's pretty overwhelming in itself. But I am saying that you should potentially narrow down to around 2 to 3 niches at least that you really enjoy now, or the ones that speak to you most at this current point in time. So you need to remember that you can always evolve and change things around. You can always add another niche on at some point if you feel that you have the time and the energy to do that. There is nothing that says that you can't pivot down the track, but I do think that it's important to have a little bit of variety in what you're doing, especially with just starting out, because you may find that as you get into your content creation, certain topics might become a little bit boring for you, and you might find that you don't necessarily want to continue on with that. So it's actually a really good thing to have a bit of trial and error. You can also combine some niches and topics into one account. So for example, if you have a couple of topics that you're interested in, like fashion and lifestyle, obviously those two topics can be pretty well combined. So choosing your niche can really be one of those massive roadblocks to getting people started with content creation. And I think that once you're past this point, and once you finally get started with this, things are going to flow a little bit easier, and you might find things becoming a little bit more naturally streamlined from this point onwards. But I think the main point to take away from this part of the video is that you don't need to narrow down to just one niche, and I've done a video about this recently. You can choose several and kind of go from there. Now, the next stage of this strategy would be really to pick your platforms. This can be another hurdle for a lot of people because they may find it really overwhelming to do too many platforms, or wondering if they're doing enough by picking only one. But personally, I think it's totally fine to pick between 1 to 3 platforms initially per niche. So for example, if you wanted to do 2 niches in particular, for example, I personally do photography, so I have accounts associated with that niche. And then I also do travel, which I also have accounts associated with that particular niche. So in these instances, if you had photography and travel as your niches, then I would pick between 1 to 3 platforms for each niche to focus on. Now, choosing one platform per niche is completely fine, and I think that if that's all that you have energy for, that's all you have time for, and you want to commit to, then just do one platform at this stage. As I mentioned before, it's very easy to evolve over time. So if you find at some point that you want to add on to your accounts and you want to evolve in that way, then you can absolutely do that. Doing this as a gradual process is much easier than starting it all at once and then finding that it's way too overwhelming. So I feel like it's better to start with less platforms rather than too many. Now, these platforms that you do choose are going to really depend on your niches. So some niches will be suited more so to TikTok, some to YouTube, some to Instagram, some to a mixture of a few of them. But I personally feel if you are looking to become a full-time content creator, that YouTube and Instagram are really big ones. I really recommend both of these platforms as your bases because they can really attract very diverse audiences. Obviously, you've got Instagram, which these days is tending towards more of a short form platform, but then you also have YouTube that you can utilize which will allow you to do a lot more longer form content. There are also a number of reasons why I would recommend having YouTube absolutely as a staple, and that is because you can also earn money through YouTube in different ways, and you have more potential for larger sponsorship deals down the track, which can really help you out if you're looking to become a full-time content creator. Also, having a platform that is a little bit shorter form is really good if you don't have as much time to create a lot of content. It's a lot easier to pump out content on platforms like Instagram. So personally at the moment, for my travel niche, I actually have an Instagram account that I really focus on quite a lot. And then I've also got my YouTube channel with my partner, which we both contribute to. So I have YouTube there and Instagram as staples, and the same goes for my photography accounts. YouTube and Instagram are both really staple accounts for me. I don't tend to focus on many other social media platforms because personally that's what I just feel I can commit to at this point. And I think if I want to evolve further down the track, I can absolutely do that. The next step of the strategy is to really decide on an approximate schedule. Now, this schedule does not need to be set in stone. You do not have to have certain days of the week that you post. I think sometimes it can help to select a specific day of the week that you'd like to have a video out by, for example, or a post out by, because it tends to become more of a routine. But I don't believe that it's something that has to be set in stone. It can be flexible. Now, my tips for this would be to be realistic. I think that's a really important part of this, and don't overcommit yourself in the beginning. I think it's really easy to watch a lot of videos, especially about growing on YouTube and knowing that you have to film like 3 videos a week for the algorithm to really push out your stuff. I know that that's always said about YouTube, that the magic number for each week of posting is 3 videos, but unfortunately for most of us, that is not always the most realistic option. And even for me on this particular channel, I try and stick to 2 videos a week, and I try and stick to 1 over on my photography account. I would rather have a little bit higher quality content just by posting only 1 video a week, for example, than trying to fit in 3 videos a week. That is almost impossible as well if you have a full-time job. So I don't recommend doing that. I definitely recommend sticking to something that is realistic, that fits in with your own schedule, your own personal schedule, whether that be with work and other commitments that you have. And as I mentioned, if you can only manage 1 video a week, 1 a fortnight, or 1 a month, then just start off by doing that. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself initially to really commit to a lot of work and a lot of videos, a lot of content per week, because I think that that's where things can really start to burn you out and you might give up after a while. And that's a really, really big key point with creating more of a schedule that works for you. And so now it's time to create your content. So I do want to mention here, you do not need to go and upgrade all of your equipment to the latest camera gear and the latest filming gear. You don't need to do that as a content creator. You can start small. And the easiest way to do this is by filming or photographing using your phone. So most of us do have a smartphone, or if we don't have one, we can usually borrow one from someone else. And I do think that this is the best way to start off with making content because it's easy, it's simple, it's something that a lot of us already have. So you can get started straight away. In fact, for me, with my Instagram at the moment, the bulk of the content that I've been posting, particularly on my Instagram Reels, has actually been filmed on my phone. And that's because the quality is quite good. I already have it, it's easy access. The clips have already been filmed on my phone, so I don't have to worry about going and getting the clips from my computer that I've taken on my other camera. It's just easy. And I think that's another point to make with this strategy, is make sure that everything you're doing in the lead up to this is easy and it's simple and it's achievable. So I would definitely recommend at this point, as well as you're creating content, to learn as much as you can. Watch free tutorials on YouTube, whether that's for editing photos or editing videos. It's a really good way to get started as a content creator. Try and memorize the best specs as well for filming and photography. I think that's a really great thing to get familiar with straight away, and really pay attention to how you can get the best quality out of the equipment that you already own. And one point here that I'm going to make, which I haven't actually added into several of my other videos based around this kind of a topic, but I really do recommend DaVinci Resolve if you are looking for a video editor that is free and you're looking for something that's fairly good quality as well, that can really give you a lot of options when editing. There is a free version of this, as I mentioned, so don't feel like you need to go out and pay for Premiere Pro or anything just yet. If you're just starting out with filming videos or content creation in general, that's a really good option for an editor. So I just want to highlight this again at the end of this strategy, and that is to remember you can always evolve, you can always add on, you can always change things from what they are now. So don't feel that just because you've already picked a couple of niches, you have to do these forever, or you're stuck in doing these niches. You can pivot or change things at any point that you want to, but I do recommend, if you're going to choose several niches, to try and keep them, if they're not really related, keep them separate. And as I mentioned, if you can only afford to post to 1 account account for each of these niches per week, or even once per month, then stick to that and stick to a schedule that works for you. Well, I thought I should maybe introduce my dog Suki before the end of the video. She's been actually lying back here and I just realized. So if you saw a pair of legs sticking out for the whole video on the couch, that was definitely her. So I hope you really enjoyed this video today, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more videos like this one. Let me know in the comment section below if you're wanting to start with content creation and any particular issues that you're struggling with, because I'd love to create a little bit of a discussion in the comment section about this. And let me know what your content creation strategy is for 2024, because I'd love to hear it. But thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.